Welcome to Crapganistan, uh, our tour of my Minecraft world so far. So this is where you spawn in. Um, contributors here. And this is a temporary world that I made for when I was playing on Xbox. So everything here is going to be transferred to Afghanistan Remaster, which is another world I can't do a world tour on yet because the files are missing at the moment. I need to recover them. So Crapganistan / Soul City. Soul City is what it's called. So in here we have all the essential things you need for world building: light block, NPC spawn egg, structure block, command block, barrier block. And then up here, we got Miku Fit. I saw this on Pinterest, so I thought it was cool looking. And there's Pickles, which is a reoccurring theme here. So stepping outside, you'll see, a bunch of buildings that way, a little firework thing, a little nature thing over there, and the map. So this is the entire map of the world so far. All the structures are here. We have the art district down here, or the second downtown. We have the first downtown up here. We have Pickle City and the canal, the historic / capital district, cemetery, future ideas / firework city, country and rural district over here, and the Hall of Ancestors, and eventually a Massachusetts style town with like salt box houses and other architectural types there. I guess I should mention the war zone and abandoned city. So starting out, hang on, let's set it today. So starting out, we have this little contraption here made by my good friend Tamik, Tamik Rants, as his YouTube is known. So I put a little caption here called 4 Jumping Men by Tamquix Depu, which is making fun of him because he's French. So I thought it was funny. And then we got this beautiful looking garden here with a nice little fountain here and a little forest. And there's a little lore book here, which I'm trying to put in the game as some lore, trying to do some world building here. So I guess starting off over here, we have the Soul City power plant, and I got some of the rooms finished with this. I got the control room and the reactors finished, but aside from that, nothing. Oh, that's interesting. He has a red torch in his pocket. But pretty much this is like the reactor room, the control room where they're looking at all the monitors and stuff. Then there's a little airlock here, shower. You got hazmat guy, random reactor worker, and pretty much they're transferring in lore, they're transferring soul energy. So like Minecraft XP, but it's like in this mushy type of blue substance. Then they're burning it, and then that creates the bubbles and stuff, and then boom. Notice how I'm using purple torch, blue torches from Education Edition. I'm using hardened glass as well, Education Edition. This is a bedrock world, of course. So that's pretty much it for the control center. Well, the power plant. But eventually I will put some more lore with that. And going back this way, you'll see that we have a nice little city. Over here, this is going to be a future residential district based off of like some I forgot what they were called, what type of style, like almost like tenant houses. Like this one was based off of one that I saw in Richmond. Pretty much compact but tall residences that allow for a more urban and dense environment. Uh, Partially based off of New York and St. Louis, Richmond, of course. And then over here we got the Fantastic Four. You know, this is their little HQ. There used to be pigs in there, but now there's not. And then this is all of them represented, I guess. Over here, there's the Soul City 00 because right here the coordinate is 00. So it's a cool little monument. This building over here, it's kind of, I don't know, it's like, it's just here to be here, pretty much. I didn't have a place for it. But I was going to make it like a Red Dead Redemption bank, pretty much. Like JP Dutch instead of JP Morgan. And then we got Arthur Morgan Loan Shark. So eventually I'll get to interiorizing that. Interior design is sort of the bane of me, because I just want to build some more buildings, but I feel demotivated to actually make the interior. So this building right here is an actual building in real life. I just recreated it in Minecraft. As I was saying, I take a lot of inspiration, well, as I'm saying now, I take a lot of inspiration from St. Louis architecture. So this is was a Sears, I think. It was like a Sears in St. Louis. So this was like a little horse thing, and they had like an obelisk on the side as like part of the design of the building. It was a really interesting building, but it used to be a Sears in real life. Here, it is Grant's Brewery. So, while visiting St. Louis, I went to a place known as Fitz, and amazing restaurant and soda. Pretty much they're a soda company, and they have a restaurant in St. Louis area which sells their soda and also sells food at the restaurant. So you get to see the factory while in the restaurant. It's really cool. And I was really inspired to make my own soda factory. So I made Grant's. Right next door over here is Grant's restaurant. So we have like all their different sodas, because Fitz's had like variety packs, you know, sodas and stuff. So we got like a variety pack here. We have like the boxes of each soda. So we got carbonated lemonade, orange cream, blue cream, cherry, peach, key lime, white root beer, since it's not really a root beer looking potion, and then berry soda. We got a little bartender here. Should probably add some tables, I guess. And then there's, you know, back in the kitchen. It's a very bland design. I'll probably upgrade it sometime. And going down this way, there's a bar here, which is pretty cool looking. It's based on, this whole back counter thing is based on like 1800s, I guess bar shelving. I forgot what it was called, but they have a little mirror in the middle. They have like, you know, intricate furniture designs. Like they looked really good. And then over here we got a little kitchen area. And these are NPCs. I do have names for them, although I'll eventually give them dialogue, which will emphasize more on the lore of the world. And we got nice little bar seats as well with little chair backs. There's a performance going on over here. There's a little log book for like reviews and stuff. We have chairs in the back here. And I was thinking I might not let them have an upstairs, just because this goes to a hospital. This whole area is going to be a hospital. So having, you know, a hospital and then a bar connected would be kind of interesting. You know, you have people coming from the hospital going to the bar, or you have people from the bar going to the hospital. But as I said, I was trying to make some lore, so I think I'll establish this town as being like an older 1800s town. So I just called this one St. Matthew's Hospital. You know, the little thing was based off a game I've been playing, Sinking City Remaster, which really had a later influence. I'll probably add some more architectural styles from that game. But over here, there's this abstract building, which is a radio place. It's like a radio studio. You know, they got the rooms for the people. They got a CEO office up here. It's a little compact, but it's cool. And there's a little seating here, Soul City Radio. This was one of the first buildings, but the first buildings to exist on this world were these three right here, which are based on a painting I made called Pre-Dying Earth. And I really liked the style of them, so I just recreated them here. Oh, that's interesting. But this was the first part of Soul City, and so like there's this little red grass. This is supposed to be from the painting, a little red grass area. And like this is the founding area. It was founded just this past July, so there's been a lot of progress done within such a little amount of time. Only 672 days, which is pretty good. And there's a little Hollow Knight guy here. I made this before Silksong came out, so it was not based on a trend. But I just liked the game in general, so it was kind of cool. Over here we have two building collaborations here made by Tamik. Tamik's one of the main builders in this world. And so there's this nice little restaurant from his hometown, or at least inspired from his hometown. And there's a little, like, almost like a jazz club here. Like, kind of cool, a little center stage. Nice booths and all. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves in this section, so we're going to go back this way. That we'll cover in another time. And we'll go over here. So on top of the buildings, I say it's fine to place anything you really want, so long as it's not nude or sexual, like penises or boobies. Pretty much anything that is, you know, like characters and stuff like that, that's chill to put on the roof. So like, you don't have to really ask for permission to do that. So we have what looks like Wallace and Gromit, but it's Booster Gold, made by Tamik. And we have The Thing, made by my friend Typical Gamer, and a little frog, of course. Couldn't have a city without frog. But one of the more impressive things on this world is this right here. I forgot the guy's name since I haven't watched The Incredible 4, but I just know the actor's name is Pedro Pascal. Typical Gamer made this really cool. He used shulker boxes for the hands to add texture there, which is really cool. And it's also cool how he did the motion of the body as well. But that's one of the impressive figures we have here. Going back this way, so naturally you just go under this little overpass thing, or I guess part of the building, and you got a nice little telephone booth here, and you got all these shops and stores and stuff. These actually have interiors. All these stores have interiors up to this point right here. There's no more interiors. There's a SCPD, or the Soul City Police Department. That's not an interior. This building here, probably going to be a department store or something like that. No interior either. I gotta work on it. But starting over here, we have a detective agency. Vance Thorne Detective Agency. So this is based on my D&D character Vance, who's a detective. So it's pretty cool. I imagined what his office would look like. So we got a little break room here. Wow, how rude. Bunch of squatters here. And we got, you know, a bunch of desks. We got sticky notes or papers on the wall. The main office, you know, a little lamp. Some more books and papers. A computer, a sing arrangement there. And on the back, there are, that right there is the fire escape. But I didn't put a button there. So, you can't really get to it. There's even, you know, you even got AC on the roof, but on the back we got fire escapes. I need to add some for the back of those two buildings. So yeah. Then over here we have downtown beats. You know, I try to inspire, I guess like certain aspects of the real world, almost making fun of them or just making their own brand. So like we have the Beats for Juke 4000. So it's like a CD shop almost. And we even got an interior back here. You know, a nice little kitchen, a little dining area, and then bedroom. A little bland, but I'll add on to it later. Oh, I completely forgot about this upper floor as well. Huh. But going back down, we have Pig Inc. This was interiorized by Tamik. So there's a nice little water cooler there, and there's a whole custom stairs back here. Little pig working. And this is one of the only bathrooms in all of the world, because I don't feel like building bathrooms. They're kind of a waste of space, since I needed more room for the actual buildings themselves. However, I did include them for one build. Here's the boardroom that they have. So, yeah. And coming back out the front here, we have an antique store, or antiques. This is funny because my cousin would call antique stores antiques. So, I thought it would be funny to name it like that. And we got a little shopkeeper here. They have dialogue, I think. Yeah. And you know how antique stores, they have like the keys, they have the computer stuff sometimes, tech junk. And they just have random stuff like all these moldy beans, or compass or something like that. And then they have like these arrangements here where they have like a shelf and like some tables with a bunch of random stuff on them. It's sort of it fits the vibe of antique stores. And that little glass thing here has, in real life, it'd be one of those glass display cases. They have all the little miniature stuff in them. So yeah. And over here, there's a nice little corner market store, just like a general store almost. You know, they have everything of convenience, and they even have their residents up here. Even have their own rooms. Each have their own style. And then, oh, we do have art studio for rent. This is the landlord. And then this is almost like an exhibition room for the artist, so they can display the works they've made. And then you go up here, and this is a art studio. It's covered in paint all over the ground. There's the easel. There's the palette, the water for the brushes. And there's even a little window AC unit there. Some paintings on the walls. Pickles, of course. And I imagine this artist to be a little bit messy, so like there's a bottle, some papers on the ground. Stuff like that. But it's a one-room art studio, so I don't think it's really for rent anymore. And then over here we have SC Tech Store. So the reason I'm able to make this video in the first place is because I have a PC that can actually allow me to record. And so I'm not on Xbox anymore. So I did a little bit of research for PCs, and I had to get into the components and all that. So I was inspired to make this. So you got mouse sale, all the different colored mouses, 40% off there. Then you got laptop components. You got moldy beans, of course. Just someone probably put those there. You got the LG GX iCard. You got the iTel instead of Intel CPU. You got the Ravidon instead of Radeon. And then you have the RAM, 32, 16 gigs. Over here you have the Doors Lux thin computer. Over here you have the Mic laptops instead of Mac. And then there's, you know, the mini UTG PC, one of those mini PCs. You got the Doors computers. Instead of Windows, it's Doors. Then we got Slim Doors. And we got a Doors Wii Tower PC. You know, one of those big ones, one of those small ones. And we have the phone stores. So the phone stores, like I always remember going to phone stores, like they'd always have like this highly futuristic look to them. Like they're all white, pretty much like white walls, white display cases. And they'd have like one or two guys, like phone guys, just be there to answer any questions. And you'd usually be there for like 5 hours setting up the phone, or like just trading in the phone, or for waiting for them to do something. I guess sync the storage, pretty much. So we got tablets over here. So we have the iFrog 6 and we have the iPad 7. Then we have the Samsac instead of Samsung. You know, Samsac, you know, 4 and 5. And then we have shit phones. Shit phone 8 Deluxe, shit phone 9 Gold, shit phone 11, you know, which is sort of like iPhone. And then we have the Beats and AirPod. So we have Beats 4 and AirPod 5, you know, AirPods, AirPod. And we have exotic tech up here, but I haven't done that yet. So most interiors of the interiors over here are done. I'd say most of them. But going down this way, we got a whole new corner lot here. There's also a little railway. This used to have a pig in a minecart and then a frog in a minecart that would just go through everything. I don't know where they are now. I assume they like despawned or died. But not only did I take reference from St. Louis architecture, I took reference from paintings as well. So when I was at the St. Louis Art Museum, I saw this one painting that had this really cool looking, I assumed it was a restaurant. And so I took reference from it. So eventually I'll make the interior for that. And then over here, there's a drug den. So it's a sketchy looking building right here. You know, with whatever, you know, white walls. I forget what they're called, like the paneling, the siding. Yeah, the siding for it. But right away you can tell that this person is in a wreck of a state. You know, they have a broken music disc here. They have garbage. This is garbage from Education Edition. Then there's bottles. There's moldy beans, of course. You know, a wilting plant. Like, they're not in the good state. More garbage here. They have a little garage, and boom, there's all the weed. Now, I don't know of the internal politics of this world yet. I assume that weed is not illegal. However, they're not just cooking up weed in here for sale. You know, there's bleach on the ground there. Even got it in the back of the truck. So they're selling it. So up here, you know, you got your hard liquor, another bottle, a squatter. And you got the more hard liquor. You know, this guy's we'll just say that this guy is not very happy with his life. And then you have the drug den up here. You know, you got all your pickles, you got all your weed, but that's not the main sale right here. The main sale is meth. So they got their meth cooking station here, you know, their brewing stands, all their education edition stuff, and this is just renamed Salt from Education Edition. So what else would not be fitting to go with our meth lab here than a sketchy motel? That really fits the vibe of St. Louis, especially Northside St. Louis. So we have the Moldy Bean Hotel. You know, there's garbage, there's moldy beans. It's all over the place. I got most of the interior done on this one. Like, you can see some of them are in a terrible state. They got moldy beans on the floor, garbage bottles, you know, all that. And I did include toilets in this one. So that is the only other structure that includes a bathroom. And they even got the coat, you know, the coat hanger here. You know, that's their luggage and stuff. But other guests are like these ones, they're clean, you know. They just need a cheap place to stay. Probably have lice on their pillows. You know, stuff like that. I haven't finished all the interiors. This is probably going to be like one of the manager's rooms or something like that. That's going to be like the motel office. So, yeah, sketchy motel. Then over here, this is our industrial district, which is sort of marked by Grant's Brewery here. I'm going to put some trucks in the back, so there's like a loading bay. But we have a cannery here. No interior yet. It'll come some year. And then we have one of our collaborative builders, Houston Daly, who made this nice looking little building that is between the two buildings here. This one's going to be like an iron forge, pretty much. And I'm going to have, you know, pipes and stuff dumping the slag into the ocean, and like a mass protest going on, sort of as like, I guess, a message about, you know, pollution and stuff in a way, or just to, I guess, tell the story or tell a story in general. On Afghanistan Remaster, the world this is based off of, there's a corporation known as Brewington Inc., and pretty much they're a monopolistic corporation which owns a lot of companies and does a lot of pollution and stuff. So yeah, and there's probably going to be some more there as well. But over here we have, I guess, some restaurants. So we have an Arby's, and for all you Arby's haters out there, I'm just saying, it's not that bad, okay? So, I mean, the two meals I've had at Arby's have been pretty banger. And that is the roast beef sandwich. Like, sometimes the roast beef sandwich can be kind of dry. I can understand that. However, if you just add a little bit of au jus on there, it makes it a lot better. And then the other thing I love from Arby's is the gyros. The gyros are amazing from Arby's. Like, if you find a good gyros place near you, then sure, it's probably going to be better than Arby's gyros. But if you're, you know, like me, live nowhere near a gyros place, or a Greek food place, then Arby's is your next best bet. And then next to Arby's, we have Waffle House. You know, the classic Waffle House tank. Of course, gotta have a tank outside of a Waffle House. And thanks to some of the help of some of the collaborators of this world, we have this nightmare inside. We have a guy who's upside down as our server, and we have a penis here for some reason. And then inside here we have, you know, mad scientists. You know, they're cutting up the people, making the food and stuff. Then we have this hippie apprentice, and someone made the dialogue say this. So stop the video if you want to see what that was. But in the attic we have, yeah, this is where they keep all the dead bodies. Crazy Waffle House here. You know, because everything happens at Waffle House. You know, that's how the saying goes. There's a little music shop here. I'll look in. You know, it's called CD's Nuts. We got all these, like, I guess it's usually in real life it would be like almost like a freezer bin, and you just have all these records to choose from. But it's a second CD store pretty much. Well, that concludes this part of the tour here. We're going on 30 minutes. So I'm going to end off, this is part 1 of the tour here. And I'll come back in part 2 to show other parts.